Welcome to Quiz 3 review session. Like I said before, I shared in the chat the flow chart for identifying citations, which is going to be very helpful to you, but also that is something that you can pull from page 3.1 as well. More than likely, this review may go over the hour, which is perfectly fine. I will be here for as long as you need me. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please go ahead. You can either unmute your mics or type those in chat. These are some of the question types that most students miss during the quizzes. In Module 3, there are a lot of different interactives on the pages. It's done that way for a reason because Module 3 tends to be the hardest module in the entire course. There is a lot of new terminology that you may not be used to, but there's also quite a few skills that you're going to be learning in this module that will be so helpful to you later on when you are doing research for your other courses. Okay? All right, so let me go ahead and share the first screen. What type of item does this citation represent? There are clues, which is why I shared that flowchart with everybody, that will give you some hints as to what kind of citation this is. Whenever you approach a citation, any citation, okay, the authors or editors are always going to be listed first, followed by the name of whatever the item is, okay, whether or not it's a book chapter, a journal article, a journal, so on. That comes usually after the author or editor's name. Now, the other stuff, like you can see here, is extra information to tell you what kind of item this is. If you only have one title, then it's usually going to be either a book or a journal, or even just an entire conference. If there are two titles, like what you see here, you see Crime and Fiction and Narcotics, as well as a Routledge Companion to Crime Fiction, that means it's either going to be a journal article, a chapter from a book, or it's going to be a conference presentation in conference proceedings. How can I tell from this one that it is a book chapter? Because there is this magic word here that says in. When there is the word in that separates the first title from the second title, it's always going to be a book chapter, okay? And I'll explain why that is. This first name is the author, and then you notice, though, it says in, and it says Alain, Goodall, King, and Pepper. EDS means editors. So this is the author, and then these are the editors. I'm going to explain that in a minute. So what this is saying is this book chapter, Crime, Fiction, and Narcotics, is found in the Routledge Companion to Crime Fiction on pages 371 to 378 in that book. One of the main reasons why people get so confused about book chapters is because academic books are written rather differently than books that are for a popular audience. Let me explain. In scholarly books, there's two kinds that you have to be aware of. The first one is probably the kind that you're used to, which is written by like one or two authors, and this author writes the whole book front to finish. All the chapters are written by one or two people, and that's it, okay? Popular books are written this way as well. Notice here, though, that in this book, there are 4 editors. It's not the author's name, but the editor's name. This is because academic books are written slightly differently. It starts with, rather than an author, an editor. That editor could be your professor, it could be a subject matter expert, somebody who's basically saying, I want to capture the entire academic conversation. The editor may have a certain point of view, and they will approach it through a certain lens, the way they see the argument or the topic. They may write 1 or 2 chapters in the book, but because they want to capture the entire academic conversation about this topic, They want multiple perspectives. So what they do is they reach out to the academic community and they say, hey, if you're doing research on this topic, we would love for you to submit a chapter that talks about your research, your approach to this topic, your perspective, and so on. So these are also subject matter experts who say, oh, okay, I like that you're putting in a book. Let me write my chapter and I'm going to submit this to you. Okay, they submit the chapters to the editor who reads through them, who edits them, makes any fixes, and determines how the chapter should be presented in order in the book. The editor also determines, okay, this chapter makes it, this chapter doesn't, right? So they're kind of responsible for putting the book together, not necessarily writing the whole book from start to finish. Once they get all the chapters, then they put the book together and they publish it. So this is the reason why usually you get at least one editor. Sometimes, most of the time, you get more than that. In this book example, you can see we have 4 editors right here. It even says edited by, right, on this side. Okay, 4 editors. When you look at the table of contents, you'll notice like here, chapter 9, monocular simultaneous localization and mapping for a space rover application. It was written by these authors, Sang, Chang, Young, and they're not necessarily the same people that are here. So these chapters may be written by different people. They're assembled by these editors, but the authors are different. This is the reason why when you look at book chapter citations, there's almost 2 names, the author names, the editor names, and the name of the chapter, like here would be this, right? Monocular simultaneous localization and mapping for a space rover application in this book, LOT and Spacecraft Informatics, okay? So when you actually open these books and you look at the chapter, see chapter 9 here, it kind of looks like a journal article because oftentimes chapters are written in the same way journal articles are because scholars like consistency. So again, here's chapter 9, doesn't kind of look like a storybook chapter, right? It's an academic chapter. There's introduction. Sometimes chapters have abstracts. Sometimes they look just like academic papers do, but they are found in books. Okay? All right. Let's look at this next question. Pepper A is the author in J. Allen Goodall as King and Pepper. Remember what we said before, this first title is going to be the actual source. So this time we talked about this being the chapter name, right? And then it's in the book, The Rutledge Companion to Crime Fiction. So it's in this book, published by Rutledge, found on this page, and so on. So the question is, what is crime fiction and narcotics? I think, hopefully, all of you got this, right? Try it out. Nice! Chapter title. Piece of cake, right? The first one is either going to be a chapter title or it's going to be an article title. All right. So then this next question is going to be easy too. The Rutledge Companion to Crime Fiction is the... By the way, here's another hint. If it's in italics, it's usually the name of the book or the name of the journal, the container on the outside, not what's on the inside. All right. Book title. Nice job. Okay. Let's do another one. What type of citation, what type of item does this represent? What I want you to notice is the first name is still going to be the author, right? Either author or editor. Like we said, the next thing in quotes in this time is going to be the name of the actual information source. But now you've got 2 names again. You've got the name of the information source and then this word here, antiquity. And then you've got volume and number, followed by year and pages. Incidentally, citations may not have everything in the exact order. They almost always have the name of the author in the front, always, and then following with somewhere the name of the information source. But everything else, sometimes the year, the pages, and things like that can be out of order depending on what writing style that source is found in. For some of your majors, you may be doing APA, some of you are MLA, some of you are Chicago style, it really depends. So we kind of want you to be able to read them all. And the only way you do that is by being exposed to as many of these citations as possible. Nice. Journal article. Good job, everyone. Yes. So here's how you can tell. Okay, it's a journal article. You see volume and number. Journal articles have at least one of these, volume or number in there. Okay, and that kind of tells you it's a journal article. The other thing you'll notice is there's two names, but there's no word in, which tells you it would be a book chapter. All right, now why is this the case? Think of academic journals as magazines written by scholars, right? So a journal is just like a magazine. It is a magazine, but it's for scholars. Not as entertaining, not as pretty as, say, a magazine like Minnesota History, which is a magazine written for the general public, general audience. Inside a magazine, though, is you will see various different articles, right? Same with a journal article. Now, the other thing is journals are organized just like magazines in the fact that you notice, like in this magazine, you've got the winter edition, spring edition, summer edition. These are the volumes, okay, for a magazine. Um, Journals also have sometimes different editions. Notice here, there is a volume number, okay, associated with it. This is how journal articles are also organized by volume and issue. So magazines may have a summer, spring, winter, fall issues. Journal articles, a little more boring. Sometimes they have volumes, sometimes they have issue numbers. That's going to tell you, though, that it's going to be a journal article or a magazine article. No other citation has that, okay? The articles inside, again, organized very similarly. This is a magazine article. Notice it's a little prettier. There's no references. There's no, you remember this from chapter 1. There's no, what do we call it? Information on who the author really is, whereas a journal article written for scholars has the authors, it has their credentials, it has where they're from, right? Notice also, just a reminder for Module 1, you've got the abstract and then you've got the introduction and those things. So there's a little bit more formality to it. Why is there more formality in academic papers and things? Because it's organized so that we as scholars don't have to read through the whole thing from front to back. Because we know how things are organized, we can just pick and choose the sections that we want to read. Very rarely do we read an entire book. Very rarely do we read an entire journal article unless it's very, very pertinent to the information that we're looking for. All right. This might be very helpful to you. When you look at a journal article, there are different sections. Again, some of this may be out of order, but you have the authors at the front, usually the year, article title, the scholarly journal title, volume number, issue number, and page numbers, okay? You will have a copy of these slides. They'll be in the YouTube description, or they will also be on the last page of Module 3 for your reference when you are studying and ready to ace that quiz. Okay, so now that you kind of see author, year, article title, journal title, volume, issue, and pages, if we go back to that problem, there's the big clue that this is a journal article, okay? All right, let's talk really quickly about newspapers, because this is another citation that you may run into. Newspapers are published on a daily basis, right? Sometimes even several times a day. So a newspaper listing, very similar to a blog or a website, will usually have the full date on its citation. That's how you can tell that it's a newspaper. How are you going to keep track of this? That flow chart that I shared at the beginning is going to actually help you with this, okay? And I'll show you how to use it in a second. All right, conference proceedings look almost identical to journal articles. However, they're created in a different way. Journal articles, like book chapters, are written by researchers, subject matter experts, and submitted into an editor who reads and determines what makes it into the book or the journal and what doesn't. Conference proceedings are literally meetings where people physically gather together and have academic conversations around a certain topic. So for example, in this one, notice this conference proceeding is looking forward, reflecting back, 50th annual meeting and symposium. These folks met at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Washington, D.C. on May 24th through 25th, 2024. It is an actual really, really big meeting, and you can even see the schedule. At 5 p.m., these participants made a presentation to meet everybody in the hotel lobby, right? You've got like symposium registration, you've got professional development workshops, all kinds of things. Conferences are where a lot of subject matter experts go in order to be updated with the new information in their topic or their field. One thing I highly suggest for all students is before you graduate ISU, you should definitely attend at least one conference. You should definitely try and submit and present at these conferences. It looks really, really good on a resume. Besides which, it's a way to stay updated on the information, especially once you've graduated. This is how professionals stay up to date, okay? Now, conference proposal is a record of that big giant meeting, right? And each of these like meetings, like this professional development workshop that you see here, exists on record sometimes as a piece of paper like this. So here's another conference proposal. These folks met in Bulgaria on September 10th through 13th, September 2023. This is a publication. Notice there's a volume in this one too, just like journal articles. But the difference is it says conference. You'll see conference, annals, meeting, any of those things tells you it's an actual conference proposal, a meeting, okay? The proceedings inside, the articles inside, look just like journal articles. But again, those words will give you a big tip-off as to what it is. Now, you don't have to memorize this because what we did is we put everything together in a flowchart for you. What you would do, and this flowchart is found on page 3.1 of your module, okay, is you can take the citation, whatever citation it is, and run it through these different stages. So for example, if you take the citation and it's got any of these words, annals, annual meeting, conference proceeding, symposium, or workshop, it's a conference proceeding. There you go. In quick search in the library, if you are looking up a citation and you know it's a conference proceeding, there's a filter for it. So rather than having 20,000 results for your topic, you hit conference proceeding and suddenly you brought it down to 50. Okay, this is why that's important. It tells you kind of what kind of filters you want to use. All right, now if there's none of these words, you go to the next one, right? No, there's none of those words in citation. Now it's saying if there's a full date, month, year, and date, then it's probably a newspaper, blog, or website. If there isn't a full date, if there's just a year, now you're looking at volume and issue number, right? Sometimes only the volume number. If it's there, it's a journal article. If it's not there, then it's either going to be a book, chapter, or book, okay? I really suggest trying this, especially with the try it exercises. There's like 9 of them in 3.1. There's even more than that. I'll show you in a minute with this flowchart to see if you get the hang of it. If after watching this video, after watching the video on page 3.1 and trying these exercises, you're still confused, please reach out to your instructors and meet with them. Sometimes it just takes having a discussion, because a lot of us, that's how we learn, is by talking, to actually understand it. Very, very common. So, it's a common, and that's the reason why we cover it, problem that students have when it comes to chapter 3, because this is new information for you. And so frequent practice and discussing it is the best way to be able to learn the skill, okay? Here's the next one. A research assignment requires you to find sources published in the last 10 years. So far, you've found 2 good articles on your topic, one published in the last month and one published 14 years ago. Which of the following items could you use for your assignment? So I'm going to break this down really quickly. because this is something that you will probably most likely encounter when you're doing research. You have your research topic. You found two good articles, but you see this one that says published 14 years ago? It may be perfect for your topic, but because it was 14 years ago, you can't use it now because you can only publish in the last 10 years, right? 2015 and forwards. Anything after 2015, I'm sorry, anything before 2015 doesn't count, you see. Now, the reason why citation chaining is so important to understand is because you're saving yourself a lot of time. Scholars don't have a lot of time. And so when we organize things through citation chaining, what we're doing is we're using each other's brain power to find the relevant articles within our topic. So if you find the perfect article, we call it a seed article, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel and search yourself on quick search and everything else for some of these articles. Instead, you can use that scholar's work to find the articles that you need. The key, though, is how you find them. How you find it. If you're citation chaining backward, which means you're using the references in that key article, citation chaining backwards is going to find the publications that were published before the article that you've got in your hand. Citation chaining forwards is going to find the research articles that quoted this article, that used this article. So those things, citation chaining forwards, is going to be the more recent stuff, right? That was published afterward. Okay, so which of the following items could you use for your assignment? Notice there's going to be more than one answer, okay? Article published last month, good job. Sources found by citation chaining forward from the article published last month. Yes, good. That should be right. Sources found by citation chaining backwards from the article published last month. Some of you, yes, absolutely. Sources found by citation chaining backward 5 years ago. Remember, if you're taking this one, which was published in 14 years ago, and you citation chain backward 5 years, you're now looking at publications that were published 19 years ago, right? Sources found by citation chaining forward from the article published 14 years ago. Yes, depending, right? Anything that was published between 14 years ago and 10 years ago may not count. Okay, article published 14 years ago. Good job. Okay, so why is this? Remember 3.2, or is it 3.1a? Citation chaining. Here's your original source. Anything that is found in the references, right, the literature cited in this original source was published before this one, okay? So you can take the source that was published a month ago, citation chaining backward, and you should be okay if you stay within that 10-month range, 10-year range. But you can't do it with the source that was 14 years ago, because anything published in here 14 years ago was published even further back. But you can citation chain forward, right? Citation chaining forwards then means that these papers here actually used this original source, which means they were published after. Now, so how do you citation chain forward and backward? I'm going to go into Google Scholar, and let me see. I'm going to just pick this, Animal Science Companion Animals. Okay, so you see how Companion Animals, this first one right here, says it was published in 2015. Google Scholar has this link, says cited by. You see it? Cited by, cited by. What that means is, here's my original source. If I pull up the PDF and I go into its references, it's everything that was published before, right? It's what these guys used to form their argument. But cited by means that 183 articles were published after this one and used this one to cite it. So 2015, citation chaining forward by simply clicking the button. Here are all the papers that cited that last one, and notice 2020, 2022, 2022, 2018, everything before that last one. You see that? Everything after that last one. Okay, now you could do this continually. So you saw, all right, this was the original article, and I've got large animals. Oh, I like that one too. Okay, look at that. This one was cited by 197. So 2020, I click on this. Notice now all of these articles, 2022, 21, 23, and so on. Okay, and you can keep going. Cited by 2022, these are going to be 2022, 23, 24, right? 23, 22, you see what I mean? 24. Okay, citation chaining forward. You want to find sources that discuss marketing candy to adults. Sources that use sweets instead of candy would be fine, and sources that use advertising instead of marketing are okay too. Which nested search would be most useful? Now we've got nested Booleans, right? Now nested Booleans, I find it's easier to actually physically draw my circles and put the synonyms in each of the circles. And then you can do the nested Boolean. It's pretty easy. Nice, everybody. Really good job. Okay. All right. So why this one and not the others? All right. So it says here, you want to find sources that discuss marketing candy to adults, sources that use sweets instead of candy. So your synonyms here are sweets and candy, right? Those go in your circle, your one circle, right? Sweets, candy. Sources using advertising instead of marketing are okay. That goes in the other circle, advertising, marketing, right? Now, the third circle, if you think about it, marketing candy to adults. Now we're talking about our subject terms, right? Marketing, candy, adults. Adults goes into the third circle, right? So we've got sweets and candy, marketing and advertising, and adults. So if I have sweets and candy, we've got marketing, right? And what did we say the other one was? Advertising. Okay, awesome. All right. So sweets and candy are synonyms. They stay in a circle. Marketing and advertising, synonyms. They stay in a circle. And adults, right? These are my three essential concepts, elements, right? My three elements in this search. Why we put them in circles, it's easy for me to remember, is because this circle to me represents the O in or. Anything in there is separated by or. So sweets or candy, marketing or advertising, and then adults, okay? All right. So I know in my nested Booleans, anytime I list this, it's going to be sweets or candy, marketing or advertising, and adults. The circle means or. Everything in there is or. Now, between circles, there are only two terms that you can use, and not. These connect the circle. So when I do my nested Booleans, it's either going to be and or not, depending on my search, okay? Now, in my search, I want to have sweets, candy, marketing for adults, right? So it's got to be and, which is basically telling my search engine, I want this, and this for adults, right? The difference is you could do and then also, so ands and nots connect the circles together. Ors connect the terms in the circles. Now, if I wanted to do these subject terms for kids, then what I would say here is not. That means leave this out, okay? Okay. You want to find sources on the history of Venice or Veneto region around it, but not on the history of ventilation. Where should you best truncate in this example? This is one where you notice VEN, right, is the common trunk here. You would take out the ICE and you would take out the ETO, but notice VEN is also common in ventilation. So this is another example where truncation isn't going to be very useful for this search, right? Because do you see though, like I know some of you answered ven, but do you see if I do just ven, it's going to also give me ventilation, which is the reason why this is not going to be all that useful. Okay? All right, I'm going to keep going because I know a number of you have class and stuff like that. So, like I said, if you have to go ahead and go. We will go back and record this so that you have it. All right, some databases have a specialized thesaurus that can be useful for identifying terms for subject searches. In the database ABI Inform Global, the thesaurus can be found by first going to Advanced Search and then using the thesaurus link. What broader term does the thesaurus suggest is related to the concept of cramming? All right, you're going to get several examples like this in your quiz, where what we're asking you to do is to open a new tab in your browser and actually go to the actual databases, okay? So it says here in the database ABI Inform Global, the thesaurus can be found by going to Advanced Search and then the thesaurus link. And what does it suggest in the concept of cramming? So I'm going to go here. So if I go to the library website, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. You go to Articles and Databases. And notice this, they said it was this database, ABI Inform, right? I'm going to go to the actual database, which looks like this. When I get there, it says go to the thesaurus, right? So I'm going to look for, actually, is it there? Hang on. Sometimes you can find the thesaurus and then sometimes, what does it say on the question? Okay, in the database, the thesaurus can be found by first going to Advanced Search and then the thesaurus link. Okay, so here I am. Here's the Advanced Search. I'm going to go there. Okay, and then see the thesaurus. Sometimes this is also called the subject link, okay? I go to the thesaurus, it's really hard to say sometimes, and under here, I'm going to type in cramming. Just like what it asks in the question, okay? And then notice it says click on the term below to see available narrower, broader, and related terms. Okay, why is it the thesaurus so important? When I'm doing a search, okay, and I only know this word cramming, the researchers that are doing research on your topic may not be using the same word cramming. The thesaurus is going to tell you what other words that literature may be listed under. So that way you're not using the wrong keywords for the topic that you're looking for. You use the thesaurus, so hard to say, in order to find the key terms that your researchers are using. In this case, you notice the broader term is consumer fraud. So when I go back to the PowerPoint here, what broader term does this suggest? It's going to be this consumer fraud that we just saw, right? So let's see if I do view, presenter view. You can see consumer fraud is right here, okay? That's how you approach these kinds of questions. I think a number of you are gone, which is totally fine, but there is the answer, consumer fraud, okay? All right, now, next question. Like quick search, some article indexes offer both a basic search and an advanced search screen with more options. Entrepreneurial database is an example of this. Which of the following options is on the advanced search page of entrepreneurship database? Okay, so if you're not doing the live version of this, I still want you to go ahead and try doing this in your while you're watching this recording. So you should go ahead and open a new tab, go over to it says article indexes offer basic search and advanced search, entrepreneurial databases like that. Go to the entrepreneurial database and go to the advanced search page. You're going to look at how you can search in that database: methodology, ISU subscriptions, location, historical period, or publication length, okay? We'll be referring back and forth to this. I actually had it printed out because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss it. Hang on. Okay, so I'm going to click out of this. I'm going to go here. Remember how you get there. Library. Under here, your articles and databases. And then there's a couple ways you can get to this entrepreneurial database. You can type it in here, or you could go to the E's and you can scroll down and look for it this way. Okay, there's, like I said, several ways you can get to it. Entrepreneurship database. You're going to go here, and then it says go to the advanced search. All right, now I'm in advanced search, and what it's asking for is which of the following options are on this page, okay? How, in other words, how can I search? So you can see I can search by company, I can search by NAICS code, classification, location, and then notice there are more field searching options, right? Source type, document type, language, and market segment, okay? So, and then results page. All right, so as I'm looking here, now I'm going to compare that to my question answers here. Can I search by methodology? Doesn't look like it. Can I search by only ISU subscriptions? Can I search by location? So I don't see ISU subscriptions. I don't see methodology. Can I look up location? Yes, look, location is right here. Historical period? No. Publication length? No. So the answer has got to be location right here. Okay? That's what you need to do when you have a quiz question like this. Go to the database, pull up the advanced search, and then look at what the filters are, and then compare that with your answer. All right? So, if I go back to the PowerPoint, the answer is going to be search by location. Okay? All right, next. Examine the information in the entrepreneurship database about this article. Which one of the following is a subject term used for this article that would help you find more information about the age group that was studied? Okay? All right, so this is just like one of your quiz questions. I'm going to go to this article. Here's the article. And what it's asking for is subject term for this article. So you just saw how to get subject terms through the thesaurus. You can also get subject terms in the actual records themselves. When I look at a record in the subject databases, notice the subjects are right here, okay? These are the subject terms for this particular paper. And it says here, where would I go to find more information about the age group studied? Well, behavior is not an age group, bullying is not an age group, but teenagers is, right? Gossip and communication. So the answer then is going to be teenagers, okay? All right. Okay, and then it's the same article. Is the full text of the article available to ISU students? Yes or no? All right, we're going to do that. And then how can I tell if the full text is available? I look around for the words full text right here. See it? If I click on it, it takes me to the full text, which is right here. Okay, this is one of the advantages to going and using the subject databases. You're automatically linked into scholarly materials, and you're automatically linked into full texts of most of these articles. Okay, all right, next question. So that answer would be yes. Is the full text of this article available to students? So I'm going to go here. Warren Buffett may not be into crypto, but his daughter is. All right, you see how it says on this side, full text options? It says check for full text. I'm going to check. Sign in. Sometimes it'll make me do that. And notice it's not available. How do I know it's not available? Because it says request article from interlibrary loan. If it was available, it would bring it up for you. You would have those options. But notice there's no other options, so you have to request for the article. So the answer here is no. Okay? All right. That is all I have for you for this for this presentation. So I hope that was helpful. And if you still have questions about it, please, you can either rewatch the video, look at some of the videos that are in the module. Oh, I did want to share one more thing. You may or may not know that I put in an extra video in your module, okay? So if you go to 3.1, I just did it this morning. So you will see there is another video in here that actually walks you through citations again, breaking it down to understanding how they were made so that you can understand how to look for them and identify them in your notes and information. Okay, so I hope that was really helpful to you. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your instructors. This is a quiz I highly suggest not waiting until tomorrow at 11 p.m. to do. A lot of students need more than one try in order to pass. If you've passed on the first try, I highly suggest doing it again, using all your tries so that you can get as close to 20 points as possible. And as always, if you need to get a hold of me or your instructors, you can always reach out and email us. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and happy studying. Bye.